Welcome into Kickin It. I am your host for the week, Grant Mahoney. Jeff Woody is on vacation, so we called in the ringer. Nate Schuster is here to join us. Nate, how you doing?
Doing great. Super Bowl Monday hangover.
Phew, what a game too. We can dive into that here too if you want to talk about the Super Bowl for a little bit. But Kickin It is brought to you by Kelderman Manufacturing, and we are coming to you from the Wild Rose Casino studio here in Ankeny, Iowa. Let's talk about the Super Bowl though. Man, I felt bad for Purdy. I think he played well. He didn't do anything bad. But his line sometimes they just, like that one towards the end of the overtime where Juwan Jennings won, but Purdy had a guy right in his face and just toss up, no one was there. Ayuk was wide open in the middle of the end zone. Obviously that wasn't his read. He had to get off, but felt bad for him.
If you had to tell me before the game that Brock Purdy would have no turnover plays, fumbles or interceptions, and Mahomes would have one, I would probably say the Niners won that game.
Yeah, and Purdy did play well, which I'm proud dad. He didn't play great, like I said, but he did enough for them to win. It just sucks that McCaffrey, sure-handed guy, fumbles early on. There were enough turnovers though, because Pacheco obviously fumbled and Mahomes turned over to well too. Threw an interception. I think the big thing for the 49ers is they didn't capitalize on turnovers, and the Chiefs did. And when you have essentially a muff punt in almost the red zone, it's teams are going to get points off that, and that was really the biggest difference for me is with special teams. And ironically, Kicking It is usually a special teams geared podcast, so it's wild though. It's wild that the small you think a punt is essentially a small play, but it ends up being a huge play, and maybe the difference of the game. And then obviously a PAT, which we don't really need to talk about blocked PATs because I've had
Correct.
Yeah, that's all we need to say. But that ended up being maybe the difference as well too. Instead of being up 4, they were only up 3. And I told one of my buddies I was with when that PAT got blocked, I go, I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes overtime and Kansas City wins it in overtime, just because of the flow of the game and how no one is really scoring touchdowns. That's exactly what happened. I don't have, I don't know the lottery numbers, so I'm not that good at predicting the future, but yeah, great game though.
Yeah, I thought that was a big part. I thought Niners got banged up with injuries too. I mean, Kittle going out, right guard Feliciano went down, and that's really why that play happened, was because there was backup right.
Greenlaw too. I mean, he went down on
fluke. That was complete fluke.
Oh my god, that was such a
He might miss next year too.
It sucks. I think I've never had an Achilles injury, but I think Achilles injuries are brutal. He needs to get on the Aaron Rodgers recovery plan though, because he came back in like 2 months.
Yeah, but I don't know if you really want to be Aaron Rodgers right now with everything that he does.
He's a little out there, but a
little rough around the edges. But hey, if you're healthy, you're healthy.
That's right. So Super Bowl is a great game though. I don't think this is the last time. I think I heard on Williams and Bloom come driving in that the 49ers are the favorite to win next year. So as they should be. I mean, Purdy is, I don't know if he might be the lowest paid starting quarterback in the NFL, which allows the Niners to build around him, wherever they need to. I would say they for sure need to get a veteran lineman or 2. And then re-sign, Bosa and whoever else might be a free agent this year.
I was looking at their cap situation and just contracts overall. Really, the one piece that they need to re-sign this offseason is Chase Young, and they just traded for him.
Yeah.
I think everyone's under contract through 2025. That was a core piece right now, including Brock. I mean, he's under contract through 26. I think they have a good shot. I think they probably need, like you said, interior line is going to be a big piece for them because you can't have Chris Jones wrecking your game up the middle. But I'm a basketball guy. What do I know? Yeah, no,
I mean that's always going to be the knock too, is that Trent Williams is the stud, the anchor on the left hand side, but he can't block all 5 guys. And that final play before they kicked the field goal in overtime, like I said, Brock had a guy right in his face. It looked like it was either the right guard or the right tackle. Just let that guy go. And one of the best defensive linemen too. I would just let him go. Good game though. Good learning lesson for Brock. Obviously would have been great for him to win, but get that taste and you just had that edge on you all off season now. So he'll be back.
There's one thing that I think needs to be addressed is that the 49ers didn't know the overtime rules.
Yeah, that is
that's
really alarming. I think this was the first year that they were implemented.
That was the first game.
First game. I think it's been around. I think it was 28 playoff games that they have played.
This was the first overtime game?
This was the first one that since the rule hasn't been implemented.
Yeah.
I think so. It's been around for a couple years now. I think went into place after Chiefs Bills a
Yeah.
couple years ago.
That makes it even worse that it's been for
Yeah.
a few years that they
But
haven't.
I mean, at the
haven't
bare
talked about
minimum, they knew coming into the year, like the Chiefs, they said that they practice this in training camp. Like if they gets down to the Super Bowl or any playoff game, they want to kick off, and then if the opposing team scores a touchdown, then Chiefs score a touchdown, they're going for 2 and they're going to win it.
I love that.
So yeah, which is the way to go about it. I feel like for the most part.
What I thought was interesting too, I think Tony Romo had mentioned it, that, when you win that toss, you because I think regular season, I think it's regular season. If you score a touchdown, it's game over.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
in the playoffs, it's each team gets no matter
Mhm.
what, each team gets a chance. So I think one thing that was interesting that Tony Romo said was the Niners had just been on defense, and so they're probably going to be gassed. So that's why I feel like most teams would probably want to be on defense first, so you know what you have to
Right.
do.
Yep.
And one thing Tony Romo said is like that's probably one thing you're thinking of is, okay, well, our team was just out there for I think it was 13 play drive for
Mhm.
however many minutes. They're probably a little gassed. And yeah, that combined with they didn't know the rules. Yeah, it just stinks because Shanahan, he's been out coached now 3 different Super Bowls.
Yeah.
That they were up, at least
Mhm.
10 points. So get that monkey off your back eventually. I think they will. But it's gonna suck being that close and then coming up short.
I think it's a little alarming when there's multiple people in the Super Bowl party that I'm at that are like, why are you taking the ball first? Like, I don't think it takes rocket science or any sort of football degree to know that you probably want it second. But
And on top of that, you don't want Mahomes to have the ball last.
No,
yes,
That's a big thing too.
I heard on Williams and Bloom that one of them called Mahomes the GOAT. I said, whoa, Tom Brady just retired, and all of a sudden we're calling him the GOAT. I get it. He's young. He's been to the Super Bowl 4 or 5 times and
5 times.
won 3 of them. That's impressive. To call him the GOAT over Brady, though, I don't know if we can go quite there yet.
he has to double his career ring total
Mm-hmm.
to have 6, and that would just be his New England career.
Yeah. So if Brent and Chris are listening, maybe hit the brakes on that just a smidge. Okay, enough football talking. Let's pivot to basketball. We welcome in George Conditt later in the show, but let's dive into the games from this week. Nate, what do you think, man? Some big wins.
Huge wins.
You're number 10 Iowa State Cyclones. Let's go.
First time since 2001 in February. That's huge.
Yeah.
This is, to think of this team in a Jamal Tinsley, Marcus Fizer way is insane coming into the year. I mean, I thought we were pretty young, and to be honest, if you go back and listen to these podcasts, I didn't have as high of expectations as what we're at right now of being number 10. I thought,
I told you, Elite 8 is the floor.
and you're right. Right now, if we're 10, we're knocking on the door for that Elite 8 in the AP poll at least.
Yeah,
But we're knocking on in every metric too.
I think Iowa State right now is knocking on the door of being the 2-3 in Omaha. I think if Iowa State wins, they play at Cincinnati. I think when this recording on a Monday, and I think we're going to come out tomorrow. So Iowa State plays tonight, Tuesday night, at Cincinnati, which I think Cincinnati leads the country in rebounding. Like, they're a solid team. They almost knocked off Houston. So
Play them really tough. I was watching that game.
So is that so much that you think Cincinnati is good at home, Houston didn't play well on the road, or maybe Cincinnati got up big for it because both of those are former AAC schools, so maybe they knew Houston a little better than maybe some of these Big 12 teams?
I think that's part of it. I mean, Houston wants to make every game a rock fight. Like, if you look back at the UCF game, and UCF had like 30-something points going into the last 4 minutes of the game, felt the same with this Houston game, and it was close until about the last 4 minutes too. And that's what I expect this Iowa State game to be tonight. Is it's going to be a rock fight. And because the way that we played Houston was the same way that Cincinnati tried playing Houston, I think we're going to try to match those styles. I really like us this game. I really think the only game that we have a chance of losing is at Houston. The rest of the way, I think we will finish out the season with a 14-4 conference record.
Yeah, which would be awesome. We had talked about earlier in the season on the podcast that if Iowa State just go 9-9, just go 9-9, you're in. No, man, forget that. We're gonna win this damn thing. So if Iowa State only loses to Houston, I think Iowa State has played the toughest Big 12 schedule thus far, and Houston has played one of the weakest, I want to say.
Yeah, they're like 11 or 12 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got some tough matchups coming up. Obviously, they've got Iowa State has to go to Houston, but they play Houston's next few games. They've got a bye this week during the week, and then they play Texas at home. on Saturday, which they should beat them because Texas they're kind of hovering on the booty cheek metric there. And then you've got 1 day to prepare for Iowa State, who's coming down to Houston.
They only have a 1 day prep for that?
Yeah. So they play Houston plays Texas on Saturday at noon, and then Monday, I'm guessing it's a big Monday game, at 6. They play Iowa State at Houston.
That's huge for us.
Yeah, because
you can't 1 game prep against this defense.
No, because then Iowa State has Cincinnati obviously tonight, and then Texas Tech on Saturday, and then Houston. So each team only gets 1 day of prep, but yeah, it's tough to. Iowa State's a tough team to prepare, but the Kansas is, or like the Kansas, the Houston has this game circled. As soon as Iowa State beat them, they had this game circled. So yeah, they're going to come out guns blazing, I'm sure.
I think a big thing we should be looking for throughout this week is how do we show up against Texas Tech? Because if we start out flat, that tells me we're looking ahead to Houston.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that and like George talks about, Texas Tech can be a tough place to play at too. And I mean, they're playing good ball right now too.
I feel like they're going through kind of a similar experience we went with year 1, Coach Otz. They're kind of having right now with Coach McClaskin from North Texas. I mean,
I'd forgotten they got a new coach.
Yeah.
What happened to that old guy?
I think he was, for lack of a better term, kind of a perv.
Oh, yeah.
He I don't want to get this wrong because it's
Like
heavy
married his
accusations, but
brother's-
yeah,
He what?
he married his brother's or his
Late brother's wife.
yes, yeah,
That's kind of scummy. Yeah.
yeah. A lot of stuff came out towards the end of the season last year, and I don't know if he stepped down or if he was asked to step down or how that exactly happened, but
I don't know, but he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But this guy, he was a Baylor assistant, right? At
Baylor
one point,
assistant, yeah, Baylor
So,
assistant, then North Texas. Now
it's
he's
like the Scott Drew, Jerome Tang, and McCaslin. That tree is infiltrating the Big 12.
Well, hopefully McClaskin, his apple fell a little further from the tree than Jerome Tang's did.
hopefully it fell.
Jerome Tang's actually his apple fell way away, and then because Scott Drew is.
He hit the loony buck at the Tang. That's where he fell.
There
All
you
these
go.
conspiracies.
Yeah.
If anyone really thinks that Iowa State is, first of all, has Casey ever sent a text message in Hilton Coliseum?
We've beat this dead horse, but keep going.
I mean, come on now, but I digress. Like, I can't even hook up to the Wi-Fi at Hilton, and I have the password for the press room.
Yeah.
And whatever.
What I think is odd is, speaking of, obviously I'm not looking past the Cincinnati game, to the Texas Tech game, but is like you'd mentioned, if Iowa State does come out flat, they might be looking ahead to Houston. Texas Tech, though, I mean, they've been ranked for a while. I guess they are coming, last 2 of the 3 last games they've lost. They lost to Cincinnati at home, which Cincinnati is a kind of a sneaky good team. They're playing good ball right now. They lost to Baylor by 6 at Baylor, but then they were ranked 23rd and beat UCF, and now they're not ranked. But Tech has Kansas at home, and then they have to come to Iowa State. They have to come to Ames. So
I think
we're knock on wood, Iowa State's undefeated in Hilton, so not going to chalk it up as a W just yet, but it is, ESPN's given Iowa State an 86.7% chance on the matchup predictor for what it's worth.
Yeah, I really do like that chart on ESPN with the BPI. I think it's more right than wrong, and it's similar to the way that the KenPom stuff works. And he's also more right than wrong. And
yeah,
the other piece too, I don't know if you guys pay attention to like the quadrant of excellence or the trapezoid of excellence, but Iowa State is right in there with, hey, these are teams that analytically can win the national title. To your point, Elite Eight might be the floor now.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to put the cart in front of the horse. Obviously, I was kind of being facetious when I said Elite Eight, but maybe not so much now. I think when it comes down to the March Madness tournament, it's matchups is a huge thing, and so any Davidson school or UMKC or whatever it is, UMBC, they can get hot and catch you on a bad shooting night or whatever, and they can get hot and be hot on that night. But yeah, if Iowa State just plays their game, I mean, seems special. They're a fun team to watch, and I think this TCU game was a huge game for Iowa State to win. Obviously, they won at TCU without Taman the first time I played, and then just came on and I mean, nice win for them. They won by 12.
I feel like both games we didn't really have Taman. He was in foul trouble this game too.
And to be honest, he wasn't playing very Taman-esque ball. He had a couple. I was texting a buddy. He had a couple turnovers. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Not trying to dog him. Taman's my guy. But he looked off. Some about him looked off. So yeah, and he only played 23 minutes. So your boy Jiggy came up big again, and Keaton's playing good ball right now. And I think we only got 5 points from Milan. So the fact that he didn't really score and
Yeah,
I'd
he
say
went
still
2
my
for
12.
7.
And I would say still my 12. You have some things you want to talk about for the TCU game?
Yeah. So another Saturday Trey King game. He seems to show up for those.
Good call.
Did against Kansas, did against TCU, both 15+ point games. Big things I got from this game, and really from the last 2 games. Free throw shooting is taking a big upturn. 3-point shooting is taking a big upturn. I don't know what they're doing in practice, but they should keep doing it.
Good call. I didn't know. Yeah, I would say it went 15 of 18 from free throws, which was huge. It didn't really matter much in this game, but it will in both tournaments, March Madness and the Big 12 tournament.
I think it would have mattered a lot more if TCU doesn't shoot 50% from the free throw line like they did that game.
It's true.
But I just think overall,
I chalked it up to good defense.
True. And good mental games on the free throw line. Hey, you're going to miss this shot.
Did you ever do that?
I do in my rec leagues now. I didn't play enough to.
Dude, that's so bush league in your rec leagues.
Oh,
Those games don't matter.
when someone's talking back to you, they matter. But if I didn't play when the game really mattered,
So these games matter to you now.
well, when you're playing a little bit more than like the last 2 minutes.
Where do you play at?
Right at Hy-Vee on Grand, the Red Bucks.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday night leagues.
When I was kind of diverting here, but when I was in high school, I was a JV all-star guy. Our starting point guard from our school went to Gonzaga, Grant Gibbs. He's now an assistant coach for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and
Nice.
he was the G League blue head coach up until this is his first year being on the Thunder staff. But so I was a point guard. He went to Gonzaga, and then our backup point guard, who I'm biased, I didn't think he was any better than me, but he was the AD's son, and so you're not going to bench the AD's son. And
2 + 2 = Grant on the bench.
well, Machine Gun Mahoney, never saw a shot didn't like, just letting it fly. Is it going to go in? Who knows? But also when the team was doing, stuff in the summer, going to camps and stuff, I was doing football stuff. So the camaraderie wasn't there, but your boy was locked down on defense and just chucking from 3. So we killed it in the JV squad. I'll tell you, we want to ring my junior year. I'm gonna claim that. But our JV squad, dude, we just beat the brakes off of teams. But what I guess I was gonna say is in practice, I would always guard like our center and just be just a gnat. And I'd always, when I was guarding, I'd always pull shorts down just a little bit, just to annoy him. I was always, if I'm the shorter guy, I was always usually a shorter guy. In football, I was usually a lighter, weight-wise guy. Got to play those mental games at times. Maybe bush league at times. I'm not talking shit while someone's shooting free throws. That's like too bush league. But
just before they get the ball, not while they're literally shooting. Just like, hey, you might want to make this one.
If you really want to be like that guy, go to the 3-point line and just like
right behind him.
Yeah. Just talk shit about his mother. Your mother's in the stands naked. See what he does.
My thing in practice was
you play basketball, Aiden?
I did, yeah.
No way.
I was also JV All-Star.
I thought you were like a tennis type guy.
I played 5 sports in high school. No big deal.
Whoa.
Name the 5.
Football, basketball, track, soccer, baseball.
Soccer guy. Okay. Every year
Yeah.
I told the soccer
Badass.
coach I was going out, and I never did because every year someone would tear their ACL, and every year I realized I can kick footballs decently well. I don't want to tear my ACL. Sorry.
So
continue.
anyway, basketball. Me and like one of my best friends would always end up guarding each other because we were like the same height and stuff in practice. And I was a scout team guy, so every time that I would get the chance, I would just bend over and untie his shoe.
Oh yeah, at the free throw line.
Well, whenever, pretty much.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
we were just standing there, it was like pretend to stretch or something real quick.
Sure.
Touch my toes, and just
Gladbrook Rhinebeck.
shout out
That's right. What was your guys' mascot? Gladbrook Rhinebeck Raiders.
Rebels.
Close.
A little controversial, but
UNLV.
Yep.
UNLV, they've got a really sweet song. We played there my freshman year. They would play a song. It was like a custom song over the loudspeaker. It was like UNLV, I'm a rebel. And me and Guy were like, we gotta find this song, man. Couldn't find it. So it might be like a J-Mac type.
Right.
I can't remember the name of that song.
Yep.
Banger though. Can't find it on like.
All in, I think, right?
Might have been, yeah, with Tech 9.
Maybe.
You know what song I'm talking about?
Wait, you're talking about the Jake McDowell run?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think he had a couple songs.
Coming Through is what it's called.
Coming Through, he had that one too.
Coming
yeah.
Through. That's
Yeah.
one.
That was the more recent one, I think.
It's a banger.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, back to basketball here.
Yeah. Last piece on TCU is there was a couple times where we run special situations, under out of bounds plays, out of timeouts. And those are all, I don't know if the listeners know this, but that's all Coach Crawford for the Cyclones, and including the last shot against Baylor with Milan, that where the shot probably should have counted with the time discrepancy, but it didn't. That was also one of his drops. I just want to give a shout out to him. He's been cooking up something crazy this year.
So is Crawford, is he just, you said just inbound plays, or is he?
So all the coaches, it's a brain trust, but he specializes in that, where Nate Schmidt is specializing in half court, full court offense. He's special situations, under out of bounds plays,
So yeah, so let's go through the coaches and just kind of, because I know like Kyle Green is like his thing is
all defense.
and bigs.
Yeah.
Right.
And JR is defense in the guards.
Okay.
So, and then when those guys are saying like, hey, maybe I want to run this play, they're going to say it to Coach TJ, and he's like, yeah, let's do it.
So
then they run that play.
Is TJ just like hitting curls all practice while these coaches are coaching, or like?
I think he's probably touching a little bit of everything and just making sure things are going in order to plan. Because I mean, if he's spending all 4 times with all 4 different segments, I think he'd never get anything done. And what you guys will hear later is that is kind of the case with Coach Prohm. Is, he's too nice, wants to make sure everything can be done, but there's a big difference with Coach Otz making sure that things are run to his way, but he's also given his assistant coaches enough creative control to know that things are going to get done the right way.
That's good. I feel like as an assistant coach, I feel like that would be, if you have a strength, like you brought me on for my strength, like let me, exhibit my strength, which is, I mean, Conditt was great, and we've had some great bigs. I think if Kyle Green was at Iowa State, well, I guess he was for 1 year for Conditt, which he kind of had a great senior year. But I think had he been here for all 4 years, yeah, Conditt would have been. I mean, he's in the G League now, but I think coming out of college, he could have maybe gone to the G League right off the bat.
So when I talk about later in the interview, where we're talking when he was leading the league in blocks, and he was a really high draft prospect his sophomore year. He was supposed to go late first, early second. Not too often you're getting a guy with, he had like an 11% block shot rate, which is crazy. Like 1 in every 10 shots.
He led the country for a while.
Yeah, and it was right before he played Oklahoma State, because they had a guy who was also doing it too. And then I think George finished with like 2 blocks that game. That guy had like 6, so it just threw it all out of proportion. But I couldn't tell you what the game. There was Trez Tinkle, which is a terrible name.
What did you say?
Trez Tinkle was the coach's son's name. His last name was Tinkle, like urine. Which, I mean, if you're into that thing, but
I think Aiden is. So looking at Cincinnati quick, their leading scorer is Dan Skillings Jr. He's a guard, averaging a little over 12 points. Their top rebounder is Victor Lakin. He's averaging about 7 rebounds. He's a forward. And then their assist is a guy named Day Thomas, about 3 points a game. One thing about Cincinnati, they have a guy on their team whose name is Jizzle James. Did you know that?
yeah, I listened to him. Listen to the announcers yell his name at the Houston game.
That can't be his real name. I have to imagine, right?
One would hope.
He's a freshman, but Jizzle James, number 2, averaging 7 points a game. I thought he'd be starting with a name like Jizzle.
It's like Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Almost. Jizzle and Kool-Aid's a little different.
Yeah, in terms of liquid.
I don't want any Jizzle in my Kool-Aid. Oh,
This is Edgerrin James' son?
Jizzle can't be his real name though.
No, his full name is Edgerrin. So
I did know that.
Okay.
They said that in the broadcast.
Is Jizzle's middle name, or is that like a nickname? Like for all the nicknames, Jizzle. Come
Is
on.
Edgerrin Jizzle James what's on his Hall of Fame bust?
Good question.
Is it?
EJJ.
I'll get back
Kicks
to
so
you.
much ass.
He was Colts guy, right?
Oh yeah.
You know the right guy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Edgerrin
Colton Garden.
James and
Yeah.
Peyton Manning. Peyton Man thing. Those are my buddies' fantasy football team names for all Peyton Man thing. But Cincinnati, Cincinnati's playing good ball. They lost to Houston by 5. They beat 15 rank at that time, 15th rank Texas Tech by 3 at Tech. Impressive win. They lost to Kansas at Kansas by 5. They beat UCF by 11 when they're home. Lost to West Virginia at West Virginia, kind of head scratching. Beat TCU at home in overtime. Barely lost to Baylor. I mean, they've had some close games and they've been right there. Lost to Texas by 1. I mean, this is gonna be a tough game. And like I said, I'm pretty sure they lead the country in rebounds.
I think it'll be an interesting game. You said his last name was Skillings, right? Make sure I get his last name right.
Yep.
He's going to be an interesting matchup for us. He's a guy who's kind of Milan size, larger guard, and our front 2 guards, Gilbert, Lipsy, are smaller. I'm really interested to see who guards him one-on-one in that matchup, whether it's Trey King or Milan. I think that's going to be the key to this game. I'm really not too worried about our guards taking care of business on their guards. He's the key.
Surprisingly, he comes off the bench. He's not a starter for me. He's leading the team in scoring. That's interesting.
That was actually my high school career. Yeah. Junior year, I came off the bench and I almost led the conference in scoring.
Look at you.
Yeah. So shout out to that guy.
So yeah, they in Cincinnati they've got a pretty old team. I mean, a lot of juniors and seniors. They've got a guy named Aziz Bendago, 7-footer from Senegal. Good looking dude. So it'll be a tough game. I think the Bigs will have their hands full. I think one thing I think has kind of gone underappreciated maybe is just the growth of the defense of the Bigs this year. I think Hassan is playing at an all Big 12 level, especially all defensive team level, if there is that in the Big 12.
There is.
And then, Rob is, I mean, you call him Big Rob Energy for a reason. He's got a lot of energy. And then, yeah, Trey just continues to show up when we need him to. So I think our Bigs have taken a big step forward this year. So it'll be a good game though. You want to give a prediction for the game? I love giving predictions, usually wrong.
Rock fight.
Okay.
Take the under.
Okay.
We win this game, but by less than 6 points.
Oh, okay. So right now, I don't have a line. Poor podcasting. I thought I had a line. Okay. So the under, win by less than 6. That'd be great. That'd be a great win. I don't know if it'd be a quad one win or not, but either way, that'd be a good win for the Clones. So, anything else you want to talk about the games before we dive into our Goldfinch Athletics interview of the week? What else you got in your card there?
No, I think Texas Tech's my last card. I think we blow them out on Saturday.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think that game's close. I think it's going to be very similar to these two TCU games.
Oh.
Not too worried about them.
One thing I did want to ask you, Iowa State, I feel like a lot this year, they've gotten up, 10, 20 points and then just whittled that away. What's that about? Obviously, it happened again versus TCU, but ended up winning by 12, but they're up almost 20, I think, at one point.
I think part of that is the style of defense is so difficult to maintain for 40 minutes that, you hit a rotation where maybe Lipsy and Gilbert were out. Against TCU for sure, I noticed that, hey, every time Gilbert was out, TCU in the second half would kind of creep back in a little bit because we're losing the downhill drive of Gilbert. That's what I was noticing.
Okay.
Part of it's just the age-old adage of basketball's game of runs. Shit's going to happen sometimes. But I don't think it's anything to be worried so much. I mean, you watch any NBA game, whether it's the Boston Celtics, Kansas Jayhawks, whoever it is, there's gonna be a moment where like, are we gonna lose this game? And I think that's what's been the case here is some teams are kind of making like a faux, like, hey, this is our last stand kind of deal. And then they fall off at the end because they realize that you can't keep up that level of efficiency with our defense.
You had mentioned it too, that obviously last year, Jazz was huge. He was getting charged. It felt like 10 charges a game. Probably not that high of a number, but and then this year they've really buckled down on the charges called, and so they've been trapping kind of on the baseline there. I've noticed that so much, like since you've noticed that, since you said that. And defenses, I think, are really struggling. I think Iowa State's doing a really great job at double teaming and trapping where they need to. And not the teams like don't know how to get out of it. But when you're trapping kind of on the, just beyond the block and everyone's rotating and you're forcing the guy to almost kick it to the opposite corner with the hoop right there, that's a tough pass to make.
Yeah.
The defense that Iowa State has instilled is so impressive. One last thing I want to ask you before we dive into the interview. I feel like TJ does a really great job at getting his teams prepared in January and February to play their best ball. And they're playing really cohesive, really great ball right now. And I think that the transfers are finally they're up to speed. And Keechon hasn't played a whole lot of basketball, so he's been playing really good ball lately for someone who has or has not played a lot of basketball. But what do you feel like is like the secret sauce for this team? Like what's really encouraging that you've seen out of this team that can give listeners or just kind of some motivation or some hope that this isn't just a flash in the pan and this team is legit and potentially, like you said, can make a run for a Final Four maybe?
So segment that into two parts. First part, I think this team is so prepared because everything they do has been done the same way since last year. Okay. The same practice they've had today and or yesterday is the same practice that they had in August. Okay. So it doesn't matter who it's playing. Sometimes it might be scout at the end. That's what they're doing. The thing that really intrigues me about this team and gives me hope is have you heard the Billis talk about Arizona and why he loves Arizona?
No.
So all 5 of their starters average double figures, and all 5 will likely go to the pros in some aspect. Iowa State has proven that they can win a game with a good game from any one of their 5 starters, whether it's Ward, Bob Jones, Curtis Jones, Trey King, like against Kansas, or like Saturday against TCU, Lipsy and Gilbert. Enough said. It doesn't matter who's going to get hot. You can kind of count on one of them to get hot, and it's going to keep you in a game. There's been one game. What has been the issue the last few years with this team?
They don't have like a go-to guy, like a 3-point shooting.
3-point shooting being one, but at the results of games, how often were we looking at, scores in the 40s and the 50s? They have one game this year under 60 points. And it was against Houston.
Yeah.
And they won.
And Houston's obviously no slouch. They're the number 1 defensive team, top 3 for sure.
Yeah, and they're also in that trapezoid quadrant of excellence that we're in. And I think that's really encouraging that we're not getting held to those kind of shit box scores of, hey, maybe Kalsher is going 3 for 11 one night. No shade to be meant to throw in there, but there were some games where that happened. Or whoever, it's like, man, we just could not hit the broadside of a barn from 3. That doesn't happen anymore. Even in the games where it's like, wow, we only shot 25, 30%. We're finding it elsewhere. So that's what I'm happy with.
And I've noticed that too, is that there's no really, I think, Milan has established himself as the go-to guy at the end of the game. But as far as like needing someone to get hot and do their thing, anybody in the starting 5, really the top 6, 7 guys playing could go off. So it's encouraging, and it's fun to watch. This is a fun team to cheer for, and hopefully they continue it through March and into the tournament. So we're going to dive into our Goldfinch Athletics interview of the week. We've got George Conditt, future Olympian here, that'll be joining us. He is currently with the Portland
Rip City Remix.
So yeah, let's dive into it. All right, and now we welcome in former Iowa State great basketball player and future Olympian for the Puerto Rican team, George Conditt. George, how are you? Thanks for joining us today.
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing, man?
Hey, we're doing well. Hey, let's dive into it. So for all the listeners who don't know, give them an update. What are you doing right now? Where are you at?
So I'm currently in Portland playing for the G League team here. Signed on the Exhibit 10. So Portland has my rights here to, bring me up, pull me down, whatever they want to do. But, I'm just taking this opportunity this year to kind of learn, develop. I went overseas my first year. Learned a lot over there. Was fortunate enough to win a championship in Puerto Rico, which was amazing. When I was in Greece, I played in Euro Cup, which was another great experience. So just thought I'd take my talents to the G League, try to learn and develop here, and become the best player I can now.
Heck yeah, man. And I was going to say too, you had a great career at Iowa State, and then, after Iowa State, your career's kind of even taken off too. Even to to new levels. So that's great to see. I guess my first question for you is what are some things you think, like the most significant things you learned from your playing days at Iowa State that you feel like took you from being a great high school player to a solid college player that now you carry with you into your pro career?
I mean, that's the quote I had. I lived by that tough times don't last, tough people do, and we went through some very, very, very tough times. I laugh about it all the time because I tell everybody, man, I've been at the highest and the lowest of Iowa State, literally. In 2 years. In 2 years, I've seen the highest and the lowest. There was a lot that you can take from it personally, but I would say just the worth ethic of it. I took that, especially my senior year, being coached under TJ. He taught me a lot about that. So I'm really a grinder now. That's what I do a lot. I just grind everything out and, wait for my moment. That's it.
That's good. I'm gonna dive in one more here before I let you dive in here. So I'd forgotten that TJ coached you last year. So what would you say would be the biggest difference between TJ and Coach Prohm?
Prohm was a great coach. Don't get me wrong. He was a great coach, a great person. I just felt like he was too nice, Am I wrong, Schuster?
No.
Okay. He was just too nice. A lot of things slid. And he's a
I'd
great
put more of
guy.
an emphasis on that.
Yeah. Yeah. he's a great guy, great coach. I still love him to this day. I'm glad he's doing good at Murray State. But the discipline under TJ is a completely different factor. TJ's a real military guy. You know, his father grew up in the military, so he likes things to be done in organized fashion. And if it's not done, then it's not going to slide. So.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. And we see that too, that, the guys getting up early doing the 5 o'clock soccer field workouts. And yeah, no, that's good.
And I'll throw in a funny thing for you. They don't know, but there's a lot of people that do know that even Rob Jones, if he sees this, he knows. There's a thing called 7 a.m. dunks. And we used to be in the practice facility 7 a.m. doing dunks. It was my senior year with D-Rob, Daniel Robinson, before he had got the head coaching job at Cleveland State. And every morning, no matter how bad we felt, no matter if we were hungover, drunk, no, nothing, right? 7 a.m. dunk still had to happen. And those were some tough times. Those were some tough times, man.
And George, D-Rob in the morning, huh?
D-Rob in the morning. Jesus Christ.
Shout out, Coach, by the way. So big piece for you. And I was talking with the staff, Coach Byers, said that you made a huge jump between junior and senior year in terms of discipline. How has that led you to be the player that you are? I mean, going from Division I to overseas, now back domestically, how do you think you've grown as a player from the last, let's call it, since that 2-22 year?
When TJ first came in, he really kind of changed the whole aspects of things. And that summer going into it was one of the hardest summers I've trained. That summer was a crazy one for me because not only did I have to have my internship done that summer, I had workouts in the morning. After I had workouts in the morning, I had to go from workouts in the morning, internship, workout again, shooting, and then I get the rest of the day. And that was every day, clockwork. And it got me ready because I was preparing for the pre-Olympics then when I had to go to Serbia and, have the pre-Olympics with the Puerto Rican national team then. And we were just preparing for that. And the discipline I learned from that is just, man, getting up every single day and grinding it out. Every single day, no matter how tired you are, you still got to grind it out because the people that win do those things. The people that want to hang a banner, the people that want to win a championship ring and stuff like that, want to be put in positions that we were put in to do. They do those things. So it kind of separated me, and that's something I take into now. Being a professional athlete, working out, making sure I'm taking care of my body. Best thing I ever did is get a girlfriend who's a dietitian. So she helps me out a lot. Shout out to my girlfriend, Johnny, the head dietitian over there at football. So.
Nice. So you had kind of mentioned the Puerto Rican national team, and you guys have to win the prelims this year to get the Olympics later this year, and you guys are going to. I'm confident you guys are going to win.
Yeah.
How stoked are you to obviously you've represented Puerto Rico now for a few years, but how stoked are you now to not only represent Puerto Rico but also have the chance to play in the Olympics?
Not many people get to do it, man.
Yeah, that's how I was going to. Yeah, I was going to say not many people can say they're Olympians. So I mean, that's what an honor.
To be have an opportunity to say I'm an Olympian is something that I would never take for granted. I'll probably get it tattooed on me.
I was just saying you're gonna get the tattoo as well too. You got
let everybody see it, man. Everybody got to see that I'm Olympian. And that's not the end goal to go to Olympics. That's not the end goal. the end goal is to place. You know, we really want to compete with the best in the world. So I want to prepare for that. I want to get better no matter what happens, and I'm ready for the opportunity this summer, man. I can't wait for it. But right now, I still got to get better with this with my team, the Remix, right now. So
That's right. That's a great opportunity for you too, because I feel like, a lot of guys, everyone's watching the Olympics, and you've seen guys who just show out in the Olympics, and then the NBA is calling them, as soon as the Olympics are done. So, I mean, what a great opportunity for you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. My route is a different route than most people's, but I'm gonna make it there some way.
That's your race, man. Run your race.
Yep.
Yeah. So, George, tell the audience that might not know about some certain battles that happen in practice or before practice.
Oh, you talking about the one-on-ones? Oh, me and Schuster used to go at it every practice. We go one-on-ones, and man, those are good times. Those, like, it got the body going. It was one of those things that, like, I needed to, like, all right, I'm ready for practice now, because practice dens were long practices, but those one-on-ones were needed, man, for sure. Those are good times. Schuster got the best of me a few times. Definitely got the best of me a few times.
So are you guys playing like 21 or what?
No, it was just
down
like,
low?
I think we like first to 10.
Yeah, we played like 7 games, first to 10. Everything was 1.
What was your usual go-to move? I feel like going against a guy his size, you got to kind of do some rip through, some Kevin McHale. Yeah, don't get blocked.
More.
No, Schuster had a nice little. He would get to the left block and fade and like float it high, and I just couldn't get to it.
Hit that Momchilovich, huh?
It was like a really discounted Momchilovich, Dollar General.
Yeah, the Dollar General version of
that'd
Milan.
be upscale, actually.
So, George, you I think TJ's recruiting has taken Iowa State to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But really prior to his last couple of classes, your class, with THT and Halliburton and
Zion Griffin.
Zion Griffin might have been one of the best classes that's come through in a long time.
Yeah.
How does it feel for you seeing, obviously your career, like I said, is taking off and you're doing well, you're doing your thing, but then you see Halliburton, who's playing literally at an MVP type level, and then THT, when he's healthy, he's playing well too. What's it like for you seeing those guys, who came in the same time as you out there just balling?
Man, I'm happy for them. I to this day, I promise you, I'm happy for them. I try to reach out to them, talk to them as much as possible, but we're all busy doing our professional lives, so whenever I get the chance to, I reach out to them. Taylor has his family and everything, so I reach out to his family. Tyrese, we all know Pops. Pops is still going to be Pops. I actually got the opportunity to talk with them when we played USA for the World Cup. So I got the chance to speak with Pops and everything, man. He was excited to see me on the court and just happy to see me playing and happy to see me doing well. And it was vice versa for Tyrese. I was happy to see him doing well, and I knew, like, Tyrese always had this thing with him. He just wanted to get better each year. I remember going from freshman to sophomore year. He told me, like, "Gee, we're gonna be in the weight room every single day, and we're gonna work every single day." And if Schuster was there, he can tell you, our chemistry were like this. The minute he gets injured, season takes a turn, unfortunately. But I understood him like the back of my hand. Me and him can run pick and roll all day, and I know what he wants to do.
He's crafty, man. I saw the play the other day where he, from 3-point line, threw it
bounced it off the backboard and hit the corner.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that Kobe did that same play
on the exact same day.
Yep, same court, same day, 12 years earlier. That's wild. That's wild stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of Iowa State fans know that your dad was a defensive lineman for Iowa State in the 90s, and so obviously you're a legacy recruit. Did you feel any pressure coming into Iowa State?
No. Two different sports.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
I thought it as, like, my pops had a legacy, but I want to leave something there for myself. And it's kind of ironic that I was number 4 and I'm 4th in all-time blocks.
There you go. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. The Sweet 16 banner up there is amazing. The Big 12 championship with Schuster was great. So I got the opportunity to really do it all at Iowa State. There were some frustrating times then, for sure. I definitely went through some frustrating times. But to have the relationship that I do have with the fans, with the city of Ames, with the university, it's amazing. I always love it when I'm able to come back and just be around. I have an apartment there, so it's amazing. So,
Do you think that your family history there and all what you have with Iowa State, do you think that created more passion for you when you committed and started playing at Iowa State? Do you think that
it
helped?
could possibly. You could say that a little bit. But I really fell in love with Iowa State when I took the official visit. When I seen how things were when it was when tailgating was tailgating. Like, it's still tailgating here, but it's not. The RVs aren't there anymore. They're over there. But it's I can remember everything about the official visit from morning to afternoon to night. It was just amazing visit, and I fell in love with it then.
So George, you're obviously a tall dude and you're blocking shots, all the time. And Dikembe had his finger wiggle. So I was a kicker, so I was not really on the field. And being a guy, you just in pads, you just want to come out and hit someone. So my thing, being the dick I am, on a kickoff, if someone was standing around just watching the play, I would try to ear hole them and decleat them. And
Right.
And my line was always "Get your weight up, bitch." When I would do that to them. So I want to ask you if you have any like your go-to like shit talking line or something you say to a dude after you block the shot.
Get that shit out of here. This is a quick one. You thought this was?
Yeah.
Like, you thought you had an easy layup? No way.
That's great.
But I want to say it was my sophomore year, I think. My nephew had just been born, and like his thing was always waving. So whenever I for like a 5-game span, every time I blocked a shot, I would just go like this.
Nice.
And yeah, it was just towards him.
That's cool. That's cool to connect the dots.
Was that when you had that really good stretch where you were like second or third in the country in blocks?
Yep. That was that stretch right when like you came back from Bahamas, played Seton Hall, all that Oregon State game. Yeah.
What would you say is, if you've got one or two or however many, I guess, like your favorite memories from being at Iowa State? What would you say are a few of those?
I would definitely have to say going to the Sweet 16 is definitely one. You got the KC, winning in KC was amazing. Don't remember much from that night.
The night you guys won it?
The night we won in KC, I don't remember too much, but I remember a little bit. I remember Naz showing up. That's all I remember. Let's see.
Do you have any locker room stories or any like practice? Anybody like getting in fights?
I would like to clear the air on this one.
All right.
I definitely would like to clear the air on one thing. There was a situation with me and Meryl Shayok. My freshman year, me and him got into a little scuffle. And a lot of people put the blame on me when it was just like it escalated from on the court to off the court. And I had no intentions of it being involved in it, but then somehow, some way I got involved in it. So it was just like, a lot of shit talking happening on the court. It was a good hard practice. We had Dell going at it, Mike Jacobson going at it, Terrence Lewis was going at it, Meryl Shayok, all the guys were going at each other. And I'm like, fuck it, man, let's just keep playing, let's go. Like, it was one situation where they didn't call the foul, and I'm like, bro, let's keep hooping. I don't want to hear this shit. Like, let's keep hooping. Everybody talking shit, no one's doing anything. So we go into the locker room. Words were exchanged there. I'm like, bro, everybody just shut up. Ain't shit gonna happen. And then that is what happened. So
Okay.
me and Mero got into a little scuffle. There was no malicious hate in between me and him. There never has been. Shit, I just played against him when he was playing in South Sudan, and me and him are still talking to this day. We're cool. Like, I have no issue with him. He's an OG. I love that guy to death. I hope he does well and everything. But I definitely wanted to clear the air on that. I never
Put it on the record.
Yeah, never got the opportunity to do that. But any other locker room stuff?
Like we knew that that Nate was working out in a wrestling singlet one time.
Yeah. Nate would steal something from every school. He would steal one thing from
Every road game.
I didn't know we employed a felon here.
Well, it wasn't proven until about 8 seconds ago.
Well, this may be Nate's last podcast.
Yep.
No. It wasn't like he would.
It was minor. It was like whatever.
It was like he would like take
towel.
a little. Yeah, like he would take a little something that had something to do with each school.
Like the stadium giveaway.
Yeah.
The what?
Like whatever
Like
they would
stadium
hand out.
giveaways and stuff like that.
That's not too bad. What?
Yeah.
We played at the Pinstripe Bowl my senior year. We played at Yankee Stadium. I don't know if you're here and I told the story.
Oh, that's amazing.
And my locker was Jorge Posada's locker, and next to it was Alex Rodriguez's locker. Well, he had a stack of like hand-drawn posters from a fan and had a Sharpie in it. Well, I snatched one of those posters, rolled it up, and took it with me. So we've all done some dumb stuff.
Sounds like something you do.
Yeah.
Just do that like 18 times, and then you would be me.
Yeah. Perfect. What else you got for George?
So just wanted to add to what you said. Like, as someone who was there, you're fine. Like, dude, we fought on that team, felt like every day.
Oh my God, we fought so much. But that team was like, it was so crazy because that team was like, that was the year, bro. It was really supposed to be that year. Like that year, Mero Shayak, Nick Weiler-Babb, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Tyrese Halliburton, me. What we have? I think Solo was out that year.
Yeah, Solo got hurt, but M. Jake was good.
Michael Jacobson, Cam, me, Zion will come off, Zoran, T. Lou. Like we were.
T. Lou, who's still playing, he's on like his 8th year of college basketball.
Do you remember what the group chat was for that team? What the name was? I want to see if you remember.
Oh man, it was a dumbass name.
No, it was good. It was a good name, but it didn't work in our favor.
Well, Final Four. Yeah,
because we thought we were going to make it.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, what I mean, we completely were invested to making that run. It was just. I think back to that day where we played, bro, and just everyone was exhausted. We had 2 practices that day. It was just bad situation, bro. Bad situation. Playing against Ohio State, the very last game of the tournament that day.
Is that the Aaron Kraft? No, it's not Aaron Kraft game. No.
It was the Wesson brothers, and we lost by like it was a 1-possession game at the
end. We lost at the end of the game, and I think like Babb took like the last shot and they didn't go in. But it was just like, man, it was that game where Tyrese had like something happened with Tyrese, and I think it's like they should have called a kickball and they didn't call it or something. Like the refs didn't call it. Everyone was pissed off. We thought everyone got, but we digress too now. It's all good, you know. But we all had the mentality of winning it that year. Like we was like, okay, we got I can remember to this day Ohio State. Then we played Kentucky. And then after Kentucky, we were like, all right, Sweet 16. Whoever's in the Sweet 16, I think it was like Tech that year.
I think we were going to play Auburn.
Okay.
And we would have played Tech if we would have beat Auburn.
Yeah. So we'd have met up and like, it's perfect. We were like planning this whole thing out. Like it's perfect opportunity, perfect thing. Like we're going to make it. Like there's no one telling us we can't. And then we get bumped the first round. And it was just like, bro. it was so heartbreaking, so sad, bro. Because like, it was. We all knew that was the year we could have done it.
Have you been able to watch the team much this year?
Yeah, I catch.
What are your thoughts on the squad?
Oh man, I like the squad this year. They got a lot of good pieces. You know, a lot of good pieces that fit. I feel like the games that they do lose, like it's just small, minute things that they mess up on, and you know, things that you probably see in scout that, like, oh, you got to close it. People don't know scout is really important when you're a professional. Like you don't do scout. Like if you're not locked in on scout, like you're not gonna get a job. People aren't gonna pay you in the league and stuff like that. But it's the small things that happens in scout that I think that they can fix. Not saying the coaches are doing anything. I'm just saying that the players lack of discipline on stuff on certain things and stuff like that. And you know, it's college, man. Momentum swings are fucking hard. You know.
Yeah.
Playing at different arenas, you know, it's different. You know, college is college. There's nothing ever going to be like college. I would say that.
Yeah, and basketball in college is different than football. Obviously, football,
Yeah.
you get 12 games, whereas basketball, you're getting 25-ish games, and
Yeah.
you usually have 2 a week, so you're traveling, you're moving a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure those those trips to Texas, to Oklahoma, and I don't think we play. I would say it plays at Central Florida this year, but that'd be a long trip too.
I was so happy they pulled out the win against Texas, because the last time we beat Texas was 2015.
I know it.
In Texas, it was 2015. Man, bro, and I was so pissed I never got the win against Texas.
Send him out on a loss. Get out of here.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
Speaking of road games, give me your top 3 road arenas from your college career.
KU, Tech for sure.
Why Tech?
Texas Tech was just they go on a run and it's like the whole freaking floor shakes. Plus you got the students over there that bicker a lot. They talk a lot of shit over there.
Yeah,
it's funny. Like it's funny shit talking. Like I know there's some students that used to do the whiteboard thing and they hold up who the fuck likes Iowa. So but Tech, Kansas. I wouldn't say K-State because they weren't like that other than my freshman year, but it wasn't really packed out like that, like how it's getting now. Oklahoma State was never like that. Oklahoma, no.
Baylor was probably pretty good when you guys were there, right?
Baylor was definitely packed. But the only reason Baylor was hard to play in is because they had these loud ass fucking speakers. Like the annoying loud ass fucking speakers. Like it's not loud in Baylor, it's just loud speakers. And it's so annoying. Yeah, I would give Baylor that, I guess, if I had to give anybody anything. It would be Baylor at third, but I still take Hilton over all of them.
Have you watched any games at Baylor this year?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's brutal. They got a new arena that only seats like 7,500 people. And
Really?
Yeah, and their camera is like so high up that it's really hard. Like make sure you are, if you do watch a game, make sure you're taking in small increments because you might get like motion sick, like seasick. It's brutal.
Flip
firmly
to
planted
another
on the
channel.
ground.
Like after the first quarter, you're like, all right, I'll watch the second quarter of another game.
It's brutal. Like I don't know how to explain it, but like the court, like it moves so like oddly that does not make sense. So be prepared if you ever do watch a game at Baylor this year, or maybe even next year if they don't change it. But yeah, it's hard.
That would be
I think I'm good on that. I think I'm trying to think of anything. West Virginia was was iffy. Like it would be packed and then it would not be packed. It would be packed and it was like an on and off thing with West Virginia. But yeah, I think that's really it. Texas Tech, TCU was never like that. They got like that. No. TCU, my sophomore year, it was packed. That was the game we went to overtime and lost to Nemhard by a fucking 30-foot off the glass bank three. I hate that day.
That one hurt.
That hurt. That was a game. That was a hell of a game because that was the road. That was our first Big 12 game. And Tyrese and me were having a hell of a game that game.
Yeah, I think you had like 20, and then he had a triple-double or something crazy like that. And we still lost.
I was so pissed. I was like, yeah, bro, this is going to be the one that's going to put me on the map. Everybody's going to, no, we still lost. I'm like, damn. Yeah.
Well, you got anything else for him?
No, just really happy, dude. I love you like a brother. So
always,
anytime you get to be on here.
Yeah, man, appreciate it, guys, man.
We appreciate jumping on. We know you're a busy guy, and glad you carved out some time for us here.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
So
definitely. But
if you
do have a small announcement. I'll see anybody in Ames on February 17th.
There we go.
So
there we go. Put it on your calendar. George Conditt back in the homeland, February 17th.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it, George. Thanks again. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, man.
So that was our Goldfinch Athletics interview of the week with George Conditt. Thanks, Nate, for getting him on. Thanks George, for joining us. You say thanks for having you?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I'm always grateful to be here.
Awesome. I'm glad you like to be here. Hopefully our listeners like to listen to you. That was great, though. Good to hear from George. Yeah, he said he'll be back, I think, a week from
2/17.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Texas Tech.
Saturday. He'll be there for Texas Tech. So if you guys see him, make sure you say what's up to him. And as far as Goldfinch Athletics, I'm not quite sure what they got going on. Reach out to Jeff. He'll know. But I know they've got a lot of stuff going on for the Des Moines Public Schools. So it's kind of all I've got. Nate, you got anything else before we sign off?
Go Cyclones.
That's right. So thank you to all of our loyal listeners who are still listening. And as always, remember, adopt, don't shop.